everyone, and welcome to American Scouser's pre-match. We are here, Gordo and Kazi joining the gang. So the lineup is out, guys. We'll get started right away. We're about like 40 minutes from kickoff over here. Gordo, I don't know. As far as at least I'm concerned, there's definitely a lot more starters than I thought we would have. What do you like about it? What do you hate about it?
Jones. Why he played 26 minutes and he can't play at the weekend? So why the hell isn't he in this team? That's what I'm. It was shocking. Maybe there's a reason for it. Maybe this team was like pre-picked before the weekend, and Klopp is sometimes he can be pretty stubborn in his ways in terms of tactics. So maybe he's got an idea there. But I was shocked not to see Jones.
Yeah, that's a good point, because I think that was a given, right? Like we almost like put the guys with the red card and built the team around them.
Yeah. The free space.
But really, that's not what has happened, Kazi. I mean, Jota is obviously there. I also thought McAllister would be there. I'm assuming he would come in later on just to high-five his brother or something like that. But what did you think of the lineup?
Yeah, man. The only thing I'd say is I was super shocked about Jones as well. The only thing I'd say is those three midfielders that he's picked do need minutes. They need minutes in their legs. Like you could argue they probably have three least used midfielders this season. So like Gordo, I think he's pre-planned this team, but at least the midfield, I think, and his defence. I think that's been pre-planned for like a week. Of course, the goalkeeper thing is a bit interesting because we don't know how long Kelleher is out for. We just know he hasn't been picked for Ireland. And that's how basically we found out, because Ireland released their team this morning and there was no Kelleher.
Yep.
So that's basically how Liverpool fans found out. I think his strike force is interesting. I think the Salah ones, he's never really injured, touch wood. He's never really injured. So you can play him. And there's also a part with Nunes where I think he wants to feel him out a little bit with Nunes, because there's a point to this where the manager might just want to win the first 4 games and just get it over and done with and then move on, kind of thing, and just go, well, the other 2 games are basically free hits and let Liverpool finish top. Liverpool cannot afford to finish second. Cannot afford to finish. Like, I don't know if people don't know this, but if people who are listening don't, if you finish second in the Europa League group, you play a last 32 game against the Champions League reject.
Yeah.
Well, if you finish top, you go to the last 16 straight away. So maybe the manager's thinking, let's just win this group early doors, let's just get it done, and then the other 2 games I can throw out, all the nobodies, basically.
And the lineup seems like, I know, aggressive, especially in the front line. I mean, Gally says, let's go score early and rotate some guys for extra rest before the weekend. We normally see the opposite, Gordo, from Klopp, where we kind of like, start kind of like a wishy-washy, like more rotation, and then we keep the guys on the side to put in if shit goes downhill. It feels like he's gone the other way around, similar to what Gally's hoping, perhaps, where we start off fast, almost like put the game away, and then kind of do some rotation and get some minutes.
Yeah, I'd agree, especially with the last couple of cup games that we've seen where Salah has either been on the bench or not even named in the team. So it was kind of interesting to see him in the starting lineup. And I think that's probably the way he goes, because in the last 5 years, I mean, every cup game has started slow. And, like, have we ever scored? It's hard to remember a game where we scored first in a cup tie. And, it's just like, oh, here we go again. It's whoever, like Shrewsbury or whatever. And we're playing them and now we're down and we got to go to and come back from behind. I'm never usually worried, but it's not usually, like you said, it's kind of always a slow build or a slow burn in these cup games in the early rounds. So it's kind of interesting to see. I agree that I think we're trying to feel out Nunes. I think Klopp really values him highly. I think obviously what he sees on the training ground is impressive, and the flashes of brilliance that we see every once in a while in the game is enough to make it tasty enough for him to start here. I think he's still kind of off that starting 11. I always think that he's better coming off the bench. He's that electric shock that comes out when everyone's kind of a little bit tired, and he gives, he runs through a brick wall. Like I said, he's like a dirt cow with a finish. And I think Klopp really wants him to be that starter. So I agree. I think we're trying to give him as many minutes as possible to push him into that role.
I mean, the thing is, I kind of expected, that's like one name I was shocked to see in the starting 11, knowing he had like muscle issues. He might not have been, like, he wasn't able to play. I know he was about to come in before like the red card and stuff like that, but I kind of thought we would rest them a bit more, maybe get him in the last 20, 30, and then use them for the weekend. Who do you like? How do you expect that front three to line up? Jota on left, or no? At the speed, do you put Nunez on left, Kazi?
I think that's our biggest question right now as fans of what we're waiting for the game. I think he might do Darwin on the left. I just don't know why. I don't know why.
Would you prefer Darwin on the left, or would you prefer Jota on the left?
I prefer Darwin on the left over Jota.
Okay, just due to speed.
But if everyone was fit, of course I'd have Diaz on the left and Darwin down the middle. But you know, with the situation that we're in, over Jota or Diaz on the left, definitely Darwin. I just think Jota's too slow. I just think as much as he draws fouls and holds the ball up a lot, I think the way Liverpool play. But I also expect Liverpool to have 75% of the ball in this game. So it's not really a counter-attack kind of style. You don't really need to hit them on the break. You know what I mean? It might be a bit more tactical kind of thing. But I think that's his biggest question that he has right now, that we have as fans at least. The interesting part with Darwin is what you guys have just said. We only have 3 strikers for the weekend.
Yeah.
Because Gakpo's injured and Jota's suspended. So you kind of like, you know, could you put, for example, do you do Curtis Jones and put Elliott on the right? Could he have done that? You know what I mean?
Van Dijk. Like, I'm also shocked back to see Van Dijk.
That's what I mean. But there's another part again, though, which is mad. Strikers love to score goals. And Salah's probably knocking on his door going, hey, fancy playing in a few of these games, you know? Like, you know what I mean? Any chance I can get a couple. But, you know, because it is what it is. That's what we all feel like. You know, strikers want to score. Confidence goes up. So maybe that's another thing as well. Win the game within win the game within the first half, 60 minutes, and then go from there kind of thing.
Yeah, that's what wishful thinking. I mean, I guess we thought the same with the last game too, but that definitely didn't start like what we hoped, and it went kind of like, you know, the usual way, I guess we should say at this point, where we concede first and come back. I mean, Kazi was talking about, you know, possession and how much we will have the ball. Do you agree to that, Gordo? Like, do you expect the team to come back and sit back, or will they approach it like, we can sit back all we want, we're not going to be able to defend? Like, let's go at him. Let's go have some fun at Anfield. Because, I mean, this is the team that was throwing a party when they heard that they're going to come to Anfield to play. So do they just come out and say, let's go out and freaking play? We got nothing to lose? Or do they hang on for dear life as long as they can?
Yeah, I think, you know, sometimes it doesn't shake out that way. But when you look at a group before a ball's been kicked and you see who you have, and one of those teams is Liverpool, I think all the other teams are just like, everyone's going to lose to them. We're playing for second. So let's go out and see what we can do. And you know, like you said, we can sit back as much as we want, but there is no like, if we sit back, we can hit them on the counter. There's no like, oh, we're not in this game, at least on paper. And sometimes, like I said, that doesn't shake out that way. Sometimes they get lucky or they get 1 or 2 and the confidence builds in one way and the Anfield crowd starts to go, you know, and get a little testy and it starts getting shaky. So hopefully we don't see anything like that. And hopefully it doesn't shake out that way. But I think that most teams, or the other 3 teams in this division are playing for second place. And I think they'd be quite happy to just not get absolutely derailed in the game. So might as well go for it.
That's the problem here, though. I think they'll seem right. We're playing this side's top of the league, by the way, in the Belgian league.
Yeah.
But they have conceded 12 goals in 9 games, you know. I think it's like the 6th worst goal difference, like for goals conceded in the league. Even though they're top of the league, they have got some high-scoring games in them. So maybe the manager's just thinking we can win this in the first half. If they're going to come out and want to be that open, if they're conceding 12 goals in 9 games in the Belgian league, then maybe the manager's thinking we can probably win this in the first half kind of deal and then go from there. What surprised me the most about the side, he hasn't really got those kids, you would say. If he's going to make 5 subs, he hasn't got 5 kids who we can just bring on. If Liverpool are 4-0 up at the time, he hasn't got like, oh, I'm going to bring Chambers and Doak, and he's going to bring 5, like basically K Gordons. Most of them are all first teamers, apart from maybe 2 of them that you would argue. So we probably are going to see like a Diaz and maybe a Szoboszlai and a McAllister still. We're probably still going to see them today, which is interesting.
It feels like it's better to get. I mean, I know this is something Klopp does a lot. I mean, it almost also scares me too. It feels like even if the game is out of hand, he's going to wait till like 60, 70 to make these subs. But like, do you think now that the squad is deeper, apart from like red card suspensions, he is more concerned about getting people regular minutes? Like he values 20, 30 minutes every 3-4 days compared to a full week's rest and then go 90. And Kelly is right. This would have been a great opportunity for Ox if he was around right now. He had a great opportunity for Besiktas today, but unfortunately he didn't make the most of that either. Actually, that game is now tied because Besiktas was. Man, I hate to say it, Ox was my boy, but he looks a shell of himself. Like it's not even close.
Didn't he score a great goal last week? Didn't he? He scored a goal last week, didn't he?
I mean, I guess, but I don't know. Like, you can't look at. I mean, like, there's a lot of quality on, especially like the big Turkish teams, like Fenerbahçe, Galatasaray, and Beşiktaş. There are some names out there, so you got to be consistent to be able to start all the time. I mean, right now, the only reason he's in the starting 11 is because Getson is injured. So that's the problem, I think. But yeah, I feel bad for him because really, I thought maybe he could come in and if he's healthy, but. Nope, no opportunities for him. Well, opportunities, no success for him. Okay, let's get back to it. See, Gally threw me up with the Ox conversation over there. Let's go back. Where were we?
We were talking about
the rotation. Were we saying like 30 minutes every like 3-4 days? Is it better than rest a full week and then go out there for 85? You think club values that? Because otherwise, I mean, there are still kids out there. I mean, we can only submit so much to Europa, and we want to put anybody and everybody out there because you can't tell McAllister, hey, we're going to leave you off this round.
It would have been hilarious, by the way. Like, that's my kind of manager. Yeah, I don't care about your sentiments. That means nothing to me. I'm trying to win a league, which I'm a big fan of. Which, again, he still might not even get
services are not needed.
Don't even show up.
Christmas.
Exactly. I think that when you look at the team, I'm actually looking here again. You look at how many people are going away for international break, would you say? I don't really know. So maybe this is one of their last games that they could play for 2 weeks. That could be another part of this.
True.
Do you know what I mean? Like, they might not kick a ball for 2 weeks if they're not getting picked. I don't know if Gravenberch has been picked for Holland. I'll have to check that one. But you're actually looking at those kind of lads then, aren't you? Really? Kanate's been in and out with his injury, so we can see him starting. Of course, Kwanzaa's going to stay at home. So Kwanzaa's not going to kick a ball for 2 weeks. Elliott's going to stay at home. You know what I mean? So you are actually in a point of, I need to get these guys some minutes somewhere. Again, but I'm completely with Gordon. I think it's literally, apart from Alisson, is other 7 or 8 players, defensive midfield, has been picked last week. I think it's been picked last week and he stuck with it, which is completely fair.
It is. I mean, because I still feel you're going to see a lot of Jones. You're still going to see, obviously, Jota is
He's fair sub, isn't he? Jones is fair sub.
But does this also mean if the lineup is almost predetermined, that the substitution times and who's coming in is predetermined as well, Gordo, where you're be ready, 50th minute you're going in, 60th minute you're going in kind of a deal?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, it's. I think it's one of those things that when he looked at the two, Matt, it's Tottenham and Brighton, and then he's got this game in the middle. He probably figured it out before anything, just to put it to the side. We're not going to worry about it. We've got it. We've already figured that out. I'm putting that away in a nice manila folder in a briefcase so I could look at it on Wednesday. So I think it's probably been predetermined because the focus is definitely Tottenham Brighton.
I think it's the part of this, though, which when you're looking at, when you have a deeper squad, the way you manage a deeper squad is you tell players when they're playing. You tell your betting you're getting your game there. And that's what you have to do to keep them happy. You can't just let them sit there and go, when you're going to kick a ball again. You have to tell them. You have to go, yeah, you're playing in 2 weeks, don't worry, we got you. You know what I mean? Blah, blah, blah. Get yourself ready for that game, it's fine. And I think that's what you've seen at least with...
You think it's that specific?
Sorry?
Do you think it is that specific? They are told... I can see for goalies, but do you think Elliott is told... Or is he just told, be ready because you're going to get minutes? You just...
Yeah, I think, especially with the young kids like Elliott, I think it's more of it.
Put it on your calendar, October 5th. Start.
Yeah, I think it is. I think genuinely, especially with the Elliott, a young kid who's playing well and he knows he's playing well. The manager's going, don't worry about it. A lot of games coming up. You're playing on Thursday. You're going to be, and that's how you get the players up, don't you? You're going to go, you're going to be the main man on Thursday. You know what I mean? You'll dominate and all this kind of stuff. And that's another thing as well, especially with Endo, who's coming into the club, of course, and he's kind of new and he doesn't know when he's going to kick a ball. And you can just say, listen, it's your fitness not right. It's not there right now. Here's that game. It is. I think it is that much pre-planned, especially with 4 or 5 players at least. Kostas is another one I would say that he does that too. Kostas is a little bit more knows his position in the squad, but you could argue though if Liverpool started that midfield in a Premier League game, well, we'd be bothered. You go, bottom 5 at home against if he starts that midfield against Luton at home, would you care? No,
I would.
You know what I mean? You
In
know,
the Premier League, this midfield? Come on, man.
against the Luton at home. It's a championship side. Come on.
Man, I don't know, man. You see, whenever we say that,
What?
I trust this team more in bigger games than honestly games against the
team.
like
If we can't beat Luton at home, may as well pack it all in. Just fold it.
Just call us Everton. I mean,
exactly. That's what you should pack it in and fold it. Keep it up. Exactly. You prove your point. But yeah, I think that's a good midfield. That's a really strong midfield in my opinion, and especially with Elliot, who's playing really well this year. So I'm excited to see actually what he can do in this position, playing with a couple of good lads behind him. And let's get it right. I thought he was a bit poor against Lask, Elliot. But then you can argue that he was playing with players that he doesn't really play with. But now he is playing with forwards that he plays with every week. So I want him to really. He's my one player I want to look out for today. I really want to see a lot out of him today because he should be dominating.
You fucking stole my question, Kazi. That was the next question. Damn it, wait your turn. No, well, since you already gave the answer, let me answer the question, Gordo. Who are you going to be watching mainly now that we see the lineup? Bickler says, by the way, really refreshing to see rotation with us sacrificing a ton of quality. Mm-hmm. And yeah, we are almost getting spoiled and taking that for granted, right? Because we would not be able to get as much rotation and be as confident this time last year, for example. But who are you watching, Gordo?
Much to that. I mean, this is the first time I think in Klopp's tenure that we've been able to do that, where he can rotate an entire midfield, and we're like, yeah, that's pretty strong. I like that. So I'm enjoying that. But I'm looking for Trent. I mean, I think he was forced on. I think last week, I don't think Klopp was going to play him. He was just like, you're on the bench because you're starting to get back into it, and we'll use you if we need you. And it ended up being, kind of an emergency situation. And then it's basically first two involvements. We're just getting absolutely burned on the side. So I know he doesn't have the legs and he's recovering from injury. So I'm looking for him to get the minutes, get the field back into the game, because we're definitely going to need him if we're going to go deep this year in the Premier League and go deep in this competition. So I'm looking to see him kind of get back to normal form.
Going back to that, I think, what you were saying, Kazi, is that I like kind of seeing that for Elliot's sake to be on that wing, because I felt like, especially going forward, that is a great triangle with Trent, Mo, and Elliot to set up over there. So he will get his opportunity to be able to be a part of that. Because we did see him, like, especially in the last game, being the only guy out there saying, like, that's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. Trying to make things happen. And he got a lot better once we started injecting some of the starters and played more like how we play.
Agreed. Couldn't agree more. And I thought he was actually unlucky not to get on against Spurs, to be honest, because if you actually remember the Newcastle game, he was really good when he came on for 10 men. He was excellent. So I thought that could have been another little thing that the manager never did. But again, he might have this game in mind, and then Brighton, and then, that kind of stuff. He's looking up today, and the good thing about for Elliot, he's playing with a natural six today in Endo.
Yeah.
And Endo shouldn't have if we see Endo struggling today, I'll be a bit more concerned, let's just say, that it might just take a little bit longer for him to get up and running. We might, do you know what I mean? I'm not saying I'm writing him off. I'm just saying it might just take a little bit longer than we thought. If you can't not dominate as such, but if you can't play really well against this side, I'm in a bit of a sticky issue. The funny thing I'm going to ask you guys is, though, what's out of him from free when we finish the game? Because when I look at that bench, we have Diaz. So I've got a feeling, and I don't think Darwin's going to start play all 90, and I don't think Salah. What you reckon he's going to play? Something just mad towards the end, isn't he? It's going to be something mad. I'm expecting Van Dijk to go flat.
It's a possibility, right? That'd actually be fun to watch.
I'm looking at the team. Maybe Ben Doak. He'll probably start with Ben Doak. He'll come on. You'd like to think.
I gotta figure Ben Doak will come in. I feel like Szoboszlai will come in and Jones.
You put Matip up top in the middle and just keep slinging balls into him, just so he gets a goal and gets his confidence back up. And then the Anfield crowd goes, he scores in front of the cop. Anfield goes crazy, and then he's back to winning ways. So maybe that's I'd love to see that.
Oh man, I'm banging into the idea of Joe Gomez getting his first goal. I'm banging into the idea of Joe Gomez going up front for 10 if we're winning 4-0.
I mean, you got to figure, you were saying, Gordo, Trent, with not having his full legs, he's not going the full 90. He's definitely probably coming out 50, 60, and so that he can play this weekend, ideally, I would think that's what we're going for. I mean, I want to see I mean, Elliott's I think is like a really good pick. Endo is slightly obvious in terms of let's see what he's gonna do. Because I agree. I don't think it would be concerning if he can't control the midfield and direct traffic. And it's gonna be interesting to see if he can do those passes again once he wins the ball. Because I think he's really good at that. And this is a game like that where if a team is sitting back, that will be very valuable. Like how he once he wins the ball, how he like recycles it in some ways. I do want to see what we get from Gravenberg in a game like this, where he is one of the attacking forces coming out of midfield. I do want to see if he can play both sides is what I want to see more and more. I think we can kind of tell that going forward, he's an asset and he can be dangerous. Can he do both? So when you have Elliott and him in midfield, will you be able to get, defensive work rate as well? But I guess we don't know what kind of a game we're playing against, and that's what I want to ask you, Gordo. Do you think the opposition sees the squad starting lineup now, the one that we didn't even expect, especially like going forward, right? Do they change their plans?
No, because I think
you get that mold there. You're like, whoa, we thought it was going to be dope. Kind of thing.
No, I don't, because I think if you come into this game as a team who's probably not the favorite, even without looking at the lineup, you have to train for the week as if you're going to play Liverpool's strongest 11. So I don't think it changes. And I think what ends up happening is Liverpool puts out maybe a weaker starting 11. You're like, we go with the same tactics, and we might actually, like Kazi said, we try and win this in the first 45. And unfortunately for them, it looks like it's a much stronger Liverpool lineup than they probably hoped for, but I guarantee they trained for the starting lineup that Liverpool played against Tottenham at the weekend. You just have to. I think it's bad management if you don't train for that.
I bet you the players are made up, though, Tim, that they can get some better shirts to swap with, can't they? That's Salah's there. I reckon they're all having a big Royal Rumble now in the changing room to see who gets Salah's shirt again. But now, in all seriousness, though, right? You don't change your plans. But I do think if it goes 2-0, they'll shit themselves because they're like, especially 2-0 like the first 20, because they'll probably just think we need to keep our goal difference down here and not get, cricket scored basically and get whacked. So they might just dig in and just think, we'll just take our 2-0 and Liverpool will have 80% of the ball and have 3 shots. And Liverpool will just take their 2-0 and treat it like a training session. No pulls, no injuries. That could happen. If they want to come out and make a game of it, because as I just said, they conceded 12 goals in 9 games, then it could be any score, any.
I think that's the thing, like obviously it's like a brand new territory to Liverpool fans, never been in that situation or anything like that. But, as a guy grew up in Turkey watching Fenerbahce, especially back then when Turkish teams were really brutal and didn't have anybody, there are a lot of times where you do play to be the second in the group. That's your best case scenario. So when you play against the big dog, I think that's what changes a lot, Gordo, is if they were playing against somebody else, 1-0, 2-0, you're like, oh, yeah, they're going to come out now and we're going to smash them. They know going into this game, hey, we got to just keep it under control. So even if it goes 2-0, they will just go to damage control mode and say, just don't get smashed and lose. Like, you can't win the group today against Liverpool, but you can lose the group today against Liverpool if you get smashed like 6-0 or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, we were talking a little bit last night on the Drink Inside the Box podcast. Is like with United, they've got 4 more games in the Champions League, but like there's something about losing those first 2 games that's like, oh, now it's a mountain to climb. And if you've lost your first 2 games, or you've lost one of the first 2 games, and one of them by a margin of more than 4 goals, I mean, you've now you're in damage control because everyone has circled you as the target because Liverpool's not the target. So they know they're not going to get, or they're expecting not to get points against Liverpool. Getting points against Liverpool would be a bonus, but now they've circled, Union as the team to start hammering on because, you drew the short straw and you got hammered by Liverpool, and now everyone else is going to just assume that they can beat you on goal difference. So I think that's another thing too, is you don't want to become the small fish, because then the rest of the teams are going to circle you on their calendar and really prep hard to beat you again. So I think it's damage control for sure. And you saw it a little bit last night, like with Leipzig and City. There was a lot of that, the nervousness of Leipzig. I know they beat City in that first leg, and then in the second leg last year it was 7-0, and you could see that you could see it in the players. They were so scared to break out and go and attack City because they were like, if we open up, then we're just going to get hammered again. So I think there's a little bit of that. It's like, you just kind of you have to park the bus at some point, and you're adventurous until you go behind, and then you got to kind of close up shop and damage control.
Here's a part of this, mate, where they don't want to be embarrassed. They don't want to be embarrassed. Listen, they've got a league title to win as well. They want to play in the Champions League next year. They have a league title to win. And if someone goes out and embarrasses you 6-7-0, whether you're in Europe or not, all the other teams in the league go, you can get at these, which is a big issue. I remember when Liverpool played Porto in the knockouts and we beat them 5-0. They were unbeaten at home for like 18 months. The Reds went there, beat them 5-0. Then we just drew 0-0 the second leg, where both of them just shook hands and went, are we happy with this? We have a league title to win. You have a league title to win. Are we cool with this? I think it was like on the 15th minute. They had like a bit of a break. It always sticks in my mind. And Milner went through the guy. And Milner just looked at the guy on the floor to say, if you want to turn this into a game of football and not a training session, then we can, we can definitely do it. Typical Milner style.
We can do this the easy way, or we can do this the Milner way.
Do you want to see double figures? Do you want to see double figures in the aggregate score? Because we'll make it happen. But the one thing I'd say about this Union, because again, I don't know much about them. I'm looking at their bench. They have the number 9, number 10, and number 11 on the bench. Usually they're starters on both sides. So they made changes, or they actually kind of went to themselves, maybe. You know what
unfortunately, I don't know much about them as well to know.
I'm just going literally off squad numbers, which literally could be, but usually a 9, 10, and an 11, one of them would start. If you know what I mean.
Yeah, Gordo, you were in charge of scouting. Did you do any scouting work for us? No, I'm just messing with you.
No, unfortunately.
No idea. He just knows that they got that kid from Home Alone playing centre half. That's all he knows. Yeah.
Okay, well, let's get to the game over here. What do we expect to see? I think we kind of discussed in terms of what we expect to see on the pitch overall. What do you expect to see in terms of scoreline? Kazi, let's start with you.
I'm trying to think 5 or 6-0. I'll be kind. I'll go 5-0. I think people don't realise how hungry Mo Salah will be in these kind of games, and Darwin Núñez. They are, especially Mo. Mo's a hungry footballer. Like, if you give him a sniff of goals, he takes all your goals.
Yeah.
And I think he kind of looks himself. He's been probably told he's getting an hour. He's probably been told you're getting an hour max. So go out there and just do what you do. So I've got a feeling. So unfortunately for them, I think it could be 5-0.
I think that's one thing, right, Gordo? I mean, you have Núñez and Mo out there that will not have mercy on you because they want goals and they want all they can get. It's going to be one of those, like, stop, he's dead already. Like, he's not the kind of players that's going to be like, let's take it easy. So maybe that would be, they're like, okay, let's take them out. Otherwise, they're going to kill them kind of thing if the game gets out of control. What do you expect to see in terms of lineup? I mean, scoreline.
Yeah, I think it's... Liverpool also have something to prove a little bit. They got a chip on their shoulder. They're pretty upset. And I think, we're going to see more of that hunger when we go against Brighton at the weekend. But these are the guys, too, that are like, hey, we want minutes. We want to get in on the action. And then you just love scoring, and they're going to battle each other. So I could easily see this being a 4-0, 5-0 game.
That's a good point, by the way. How much do you guys think like the weekend's game carries onto this? I would think, Kazi, it would in the stands, but do you think the team looks at this game or more the Brighton game to make a statement, if you will?
Yeah.
Or it starts right off the bat, like, you know what, from now on, we're kicking ass. You guys
What's the statement for Liverpool in this game? 7-8-0? That's probably the statement that goes around Europe. Everyone expects Liverpool to win 5-0, 4-5-0, unfortunately. But I just think it's more, hey, lads, you can go and get yourself a couple of goals. I think that's what he's done. You know what I mean? I think we can all agree he's probably the most frustrated I've ever seen Mo Salah in a game when he got booked. I've never seen him react like that ever. And it's like, and maybe he's pissed off. And, Darwin was meant to come on against Spurs and didn't come on, so maybe he's annoyed. And he's probably just thinking to himself, you know what, you can go out and just take your anger out on these because they probably are angry. They're going to be annoyed. They're going to be frustrated. And that's completely, and by the way, completely honest, because we all are. We're all frustrated and annoyed and angry about the situation. So what do they feel like?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That was another one about the Canate. I thought he might have done Matip. In the back of his mind of like, if he goes out, just gets a clean sheet, plays well, maybe get a goal off a corner and let the crowd give him a big lift because he's probably down in the dumps as well. He's probably feeling a bit shit about himself. But maybe that's probably give us an indication about Sunday that he could be it could be him and Van Dijk on Sunday. Maybe that's giving us the indication. I
think based on how we played, maybe it is better for Matip to come out. Honestly, like, I was kind of obviously depressed when it happened But if I would pick anybody to it happening too, I think Matip is probably would be my choice out of all center backs in terms of being able to get over it and carry on. Like you don't want it happening to Gomez, God forbid, right?
I don't
You
know.
definitely you don't want Konate either. I feel like with his maturity and his overall demeanor, Matip was probably like if you said, "Hey, center back is going to score an own goal, Gordo," who would you pick?
I
Covering
honestly probably Verge. I said no. Actually, Kelly and I talked about this last night too, because like you got to look. It's unfair to judge anybody by last year just because of how poor everybody was collectively. But Matip couldn't. I mean, it was pretty bad. He also was almost never healthy. He was struggling with injuries all year, and then he's finally like. Let's be honest. 96 minutes. I didn't think we could get that kind of performance out of him with 11 versus 11, but he gave us 96 minutes with 9 men. And I thought, if he out of everybody, he deserved that not to go in. And I thought that, man, like because he's definitely fighting for his position. He knows Konate's behind him, like breathing down his neck. He knows that's probably the future of the center back. And he put in a great shift. And for that to happen, I felt like it felt worse because it was Matip personally.
I mean, I felt bad for Matip, but I guess in the long run of things, Kazi, I felt like he would be the one to be able to shake it off a lot better than the other ones.
He's very experienced, isn't he? Like you don't want to tap into Kwanzaa or Gomez is just
Whole
getting his
demeanor,
confidence back.
right?
Or Gomez is getting his confidence back. You don't want it to happen to them. So, you can put his arm around him, especially the goalie. And the goalie just says, "Football, mate. What could you do there?" Do you know what I mean? It's that kind of thing. But when you tell a kid that, the kid's still destroyed inside, kind of thing. So I know what you're saying, but I just feel like maybe the manager's probably speaking to him, going, "You're going to start against Brighton. We'll just batter them." Like I think they're getting battered now as well against Marseille.
Well, they actually came back and tied it up. I guess the good thing about that is they had to play everybody. I mean, their first subs came in the 67th. They took Matty and Dahoud out, and then on the 77th they took Marchin and Welbeck out. Does that help our cause, and does that change how we do things? You think, or we just?
I don't think it changes how we do things as such, but I think the manager knows himself that they've got to go a tough away game at Marseille. Even Liverpool couldn't go and start a second string against Marseille away. Even Liverpool knew that. So they know they had to go. By the way, they're on the back of a 6-1 hammering as well. And then they've got to go to Marseille and they play Liverpool at the end of that stretch. A pissed off Liverpool. Do you know what I mean? So maybe the managers can think to himself that, Matip might be able to have himself a good game there kind of thing. I don't know, but I did feel like he might start him. But again, Konate's come back from his injury and you just never know.
To me, that was the good thing about them in some ways losing at home to the Greek team, because I felt like they couldn't throw away this game because they needed something out of it. I mean, they got a point, which they will probably, take, especially coming back from like 2-0. But I think it helps our cause. They could not just say, you know what, we'll rotate it. We're going to go out and advance in this group, because that is in kind of like danger now, because you kind of lost the easiest game on paper at home to the Greek side. I mean, that's a tough group overall that they're in. But yeah, that's a huge game coming up this weekend, and it's going to be interesting to see how it unfolds right before the international break and everything. But we'll talk a whole lot about that and this game itself tomorrow morning. But more importantly, tonight, Gally over here is going to be hosting the Thursday night crew. They will be our post-match at the same time, so tune in at their regularly scheduled time, 7 Central, 8 Eastern, where they talk everything about this game and how we smash this team, whoever they are.
Fingers crossed.
Royale Union, baby. Who knows French? Let's do this. Kazi, you look like you know French.
No, we.
Clearly 9. No. If it was German, I'd be all over this shit. But no,
no idea.
Royale Union. Let's hope we get a win. More importantly, let's hope we get people some confidence and no injuries. But enjoy the game, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you guys tonight. Take care.
Thanks, guys.